Hello, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to my second channel, the Million Dollars Babe channel. And today we're talking about rich mom, poor mom. So, you guys know that I have been pretty much every type of mom there is. I've been a single mom, I've been a stay at home mom, I've been a working mom, I've been an entrepreneur mom, poor mom, middle class, wealthy mom. Like I have done all of those different phases. And so when I compare different aspects of my own life and what my consciousness was, what my thoughts were, what my behavior was at those times versus what it is now, I find out some really interesting information about how I was creating my own reality and how I was able to shift it. And I love sharing that with you guys. So today in this topic, I thought it would be really, really fun to share sort of how my mentality and my consciousness has changed from the poor mom consciousness versus the rich mom consciousness. And I see some of this playing out in family and friends. And so it's really interesting to see those contrasts of wealth mindset versus poverty mindset. So I didn't write these out on purpose. I wanted it to be organic, just kind of thinking back, reflecting, just having a chat with my girlfriends and not have it be like so structured. Number one, right off the bat, the abundance consciousness, the rich mom consciousness is that I have choices, the freedom to make a decision. Choice, but it's not exactly how you think. Good morning, everyone. Whoa, I've got like 100 good mornings over here. Good morning, everyone. So when I was in my poor consciousness, poor mindset, poor mom, and I see a lot of my family and friends doing this as well, they have to buy the most expensive thing to look a certain way because God forbid everyone find out that they don't have money. But they are willing to live as poor mom or poor mindset as long as they look a certain way. I was the same way. I was earning six-figure salary, not salary, but I was earning six figures in my business in my 20s, but I spent all of it just to look a certain way. I had to live in the most expensive, high rise. I had to drive the most luxurious car and so on and so forth. So that's number one, is that with the poor mom mindset, you have to spend money on certain things. As the rich mom mindset, and now that I'm a multimillionaire, I actually don't have to spend money on the most expensive thing. I have choice. I can buy the most cheap thing. I can buy the middle thing. I can buy the most expensive thing. It's all about choice. And I make decisions on what I'm going to purchase based on what I truly desire and what will feel good versus the most expensive thing. So this has been a huge mindset shift for me. I have an example of this, a real life example. Back in the day when I was in mommy groups, when my children were younger, I had this one mom friend that I used to go get my mani and pedis done with. And her kids and my kids were the same age. So we took the kids and it just all worked out. Every time we went to the salon, she had to get the most expensive pedicure package. So there was a $20 package, I believe. I'm roughly thinking of these numbers, a $30 package and a $60 package. I mean, all relatively cheap, but she got the most expensive one and I got the $20 one. Her situation was that she was a stay-at-home mom and my situation was that I was a stay-at-home mom. And so we were on one income and I would buy the cheapest package because that's what felt good to me. Like I got my pedicure and it felt comfortable. She absolutely had to get the most expensive package and I felt that maybe that felt good to her. But when the last 2 weeks of the month would arrive, she would be really stressed out. She would say that sometimes they didn't have money for gas. She was telling me a story on how they were coming home from church and their car stopped on the highway and they only had $2 in their pocket and 2 weeks left at the end of the month. So just to give you an idea, this was her situation. But when we went to restaurants, she ordered, 2 entrees instead of 1 and split it with her kids. I, had the same age kids at her, very little. They don't eat a lot at that age, right? So I would get one meal and like share it with my kids and like wrap the rest and take it home, right? So like just logical things, even though I didn't have to do any of that, that's just what felt good to me. Long story short, 8 years later, she reached out to me. 7 years later, she reached out to me. Hey, how are you doing? And we decided to catch up. We had lost, contact for a little bit just because I had launched my business and gotten busy. And we caught up, and her situation 7 years later is exactly the same that it was. Exactly the same. I went from being a stay-at-home mom, making really good financial decisions, to becoming a multimillionaire, earning multiple seven figures in my business in the same 7-year period. And the thing is that when we went out, I realized that I was still making sensible choices, not based on spending the most possible, but the most that felt good to me, like whatever felt good to me. And she was still making decisions based on the most expensive thing. So you would think that it would be the other way around, right? Like that I have the option to just buy whatever like most expensive thing, but I do have the option to buy the most expensive thing. And oftentimes I choose not to because it's not the best choice. Do you see the difference? Let me know if you see the difference. It's about freedom, not looking a certain way. Whatever feels good to me, I don't care if it's $2 or $200,000, I will make that decision. That's the one that I'm going to choose. Okay, so that's a big difference. I was so mind blown hanging out with her. She is one of the sweetest people I know. And it was so sad to see that she is still stuck in that last 2 weeks, they can barely survive mindset. But the first 2 weeks, they're spending like kings. You would think if you were hanging out with us that she was the multimillionaire and I was the poor mom, because I'm making the more sensible decisions because I can. I don't have to look rich because I feel rich. Okay, very different mentalities. Let me see what you guys are saying for number one. Oh my God, Mina, so happy to catch this live. Such a blessing for this morning. Mina and coffee, my heart is full. Thank you, Lola. Let me take a sip of my coffee on that note. Good morning, Heather. Heather said, number one, poor mom mindset, buying everything. Rich mom mindset, choices, intentional purchases. Yes. Yes, I understand you're not driven by insecurity. Yes. There's no abundance in her making choice. She has to choose the most expensive thing. She just has to, right? There's no choice. Love it. Thinking versus feeling. Feeling and in your body is everything. Absolutely. Absolutely. So because I already feel rich, I don't have to choose things that don't align with me just because they're the most expensive thing or what wealthy people would choose. When you're in the poor mom consciousness, you assume that the rich just choose the most expensive thing. We already know from the extensive studies done on multimillionaires, even billionaires, that that is not the case. They choose the thing that's most sensible to what they desire, not the most expensive thing. Sometimes it may be the most expensive, but often it is not because they truly have choice. They are not making the decision from lack. Okay, so number two, let's do number two. When I was in the poor mom consciousness, I would say things to my kids, especially my oldest one was the one that was, had me as a single mom. Things like, that's too expensive, or you're only going to play with that once, so you can't buy that, right? Like things that were in scarcity, in limitation. That was like the poor mom consciousness. When I became a rich mom, had the abundance mindset, no matter what my children ask for, I'm excited for them and I say, manifest it. Put it on your vision board, write it in your journal. You can have whatever you want, manifest it. So along those same lines, there was kind of like this two-part seesaw that I did. I felt that my children or my son was entitled to things that I couldn't truly afford just because he was entitled to them. And I also said things in fear and scarcity consciousness, like, oh, you're only going to play with that once, or you're going to break that. So there was like this false sense of you can have whatever you want, you're entitled to it even if I can't afford it. And then, oh my God, this fear consciousness, right? So now my consciousness and my mindset is very stable around this. Like, you can have whatever you want, manifest it, right? I am not your source. God is your ultimate source. You are your ultimate source, and you can call it in. Even if I think it's a bad decision, even if I think it's not the best choice, you can still choose to call it in. So one of the things that one of my clients recently asked me, and I want to touch on this, is she is working her way into wealth as well, and she's earning. Her and her husband are killing it in their business. She was saying, when we have kids, won't they be spoiled? And I was sharing with her this experience that it's actually the reverse. In my experience, when I was in the poor mom consciousness, and this is what I see in my kids' school and friendships, is that the kids that are the most entitled and spoiled often belong to the people that are most paycheck to paycheck, like in the poor consciousness. They feel that their children are entitled to expensive things, even though they can't afford them. What I've seen in my household and in our families, where they're, the parents are doctors and lawyers and business owners and wealthy, is that the kids are not spoiled and not entitled. They know how money works. They know how things work. And there's still an element of minimalism and things that really bring you value and bring you happiness in purchasing decisions. Because the interesting thing is, when you give your children the choice to buy whatever they want, they actually make better decisions. I have seen this in my kids. One of the things that I saw in my childhood, and my mom was really good at this, we were, there were points in my life where we were homeless and we were what you would consider below the poverty level. And then there were points where my parents were earning $300,000 a year. So there was a lot of inconsistency. My mom was really smart in that when we would go out and I would ask for something, she wouldn't say we can't afford it. She would say, I left my money at home. So that was really quite interesting to me, because I didn't learn that we didn't have money, just that it wasn't available right now. So that didn't put that like scarcity in my mind, at least from that behavior. But because there was inconsistency in my childhood, I did find that when given the option to, I would overbuy. Like, oh my God, it's not going to be available later. Like, let's just buy all of it right now. My children are very different. What I've seen with them is that let me give you an example. A few weeks ago, I gave this example to my client as well. A few weeks ago, my boys wanted sneakers because, through COVID, we weren't really going out too much and they outgrew their sneakers. So we went to the Nike store and they had some shoes in mind. And immediately my middle son, Ayan, who's 11, he found a pair that he loved. And Armand looked around and he didn't find the ones that he were looking for. So my husband suggested that we go to a different Nike store and see if they had it. And this other Nike store was the Nike outlet factory store. So we went there and immediately my middle son found another pair that he liked. And he said, Daddy, can I get these too? And Daddy said, sure, no problem. You can get these. So Armand was looking around and again, he didn't find anything. And so Irfan said, you know what? Why don't you find something that you second best option here, and then we'll go home and order the ones that you want online. And Armand had the choice. My 16-and-a-half-year-old had the choice to get two pairs. He could get one that he kind of liked, his second option, and then go home and order the ones that he wanted. And he said, no, what's the point, Dad? I just want the ones that I want. And so that's not what I would have decided when I was younger. I would have gotten the pair that I'm being offered and then go home and get the other pair as well. He's like, no, my feet are still growing. Like, I want the ones that I want. I'm not going to get a backup option just to get something from the outlet. So he went home, got on the website with Dad, and ordered the ones that he wanted. That just gives you the example of when they're given he knows he can buy whatever he wants. He knows he has the option. He's choosing not to because he's not in scarcity like I was in my childhood. I would have been like, yes, let's get the second pair too. and go home and get the ones that I want. Okay, I think I just released the money block with your example. Good, Elise. I love it when it all aligns. Left money at home, totally what I do. Keeps nagging at bay. Many parents don't let their children make the decision, but bake it for them. So then they don't learn that they have choices. Yes, love that. This is very true. My parents were paycheck to paycheck, and I was a spoiled child. I am the same way with overspending, working on expanding my container. We've seen this with my children's friends at school. Their parents will be complaining about not having money for the mortgage. They will have one car that keeps, stopping at the end of the street, but their children are wearing the $250 sneakers. They've got the latest iPhone. Like, you would think that those were the millionaire kids. That's entitled and spoiled. Okay. Children where there is abundance in the household, they know. Let me give you another example. My oldest son, who has a job now in my business, and he receives money for the services that he does. He is investing his money, not spending a dollar of it. His goal is to become a millionaire by 28. So he has the option of spending that money on the latest iPhone or whatever the hell he wants. He chooses not to. He buys index funds instead, because he knows how money works, and he knows the long-term buying power of money and the opportunity cost and all of that. I am just that mind blown, because at his age, those were not the decisions that I was making. So when you have freedom of choice, you actually make better decisions. Now, what do you think would have happened if we forced him to do so? If we said you have to invest? We've taken away his choice. He would probably choose to spend money. I'm guessing. I don't know, because we give them 100% freedom in how they choose to spend their money. I used to buy things on sale just because it was a good deal. Oh my God, me too. I was addicted to the sale. Even if it was in the wrong color, even if it was in the wrong size, my mom used to do that too. My mom never spent more than $10 on shoes for herself, even when she was making $350,000 a year. So that got stuck in me, but I had to get myself out of that mindset real quick. Wonderful sneaker example. Now that I have started minimalism, I don't want anything that isn't a good fit for my wardrobe. Well, yes, Irman, I got that from my mom, buying things just because it was on sale, even if I didn't need it. That's the poor mom consciousness. That's the poor mom, right? We'll probably end up spending more on the sale stuff than the one thing, regardless of the price, that we would have actually used and worn and we desired. I have had to really work through that. I was stuck there for a while. So completely different mindset. So let's do number 3. Okay, number 3, rich mom versus poor mom mindset. And when I was a poor mom, I used to work for money. When I became a rich mom, money works for me. Very different. So any money that comes in, this is how I first started. I'm not there now, but when I first started shifting my mindset around money, and I talked about this in the $1 Million Money course. When I started first shifting, I decided that I wasn't going to spend any money that I exchanged time for. That money, most of that money would be invested. So my first investment was me. Pay myself first. So I would invest in programs and courses and education, things that I had this really elderly Jewish neighbor who would say, put it where they can't take it away from you. That was his thing. He had been through some horrific things in his life, and he was very, very elderly. I believe he was in his 90s, could barely walk. His wife would walk him down the corridor. He lived in my condo building, and he would say, put it where they can't take it away from you. And so I put it where they can't take it away from me. I can't even spend it. It's in me, right? Like no one can take that away from me. So that was the first layer. The second layer was use that knowledge to call in more money, more passive money, and then invest the money that I'm trading time for and spend the passive money. So spend the money, the baby of the dollars that I earn, the interest, right? The dividends, the passive income. So that was the first layer. So we would invest, my husband and I, we started with 50% of our salary, and then we moved to 60, 70. I think the highest we had ever gotten to 80, but now we're around 70 now. So we use percentages and not dollar amounts because being an entrepreneur and because my business is always scaling, I'm always calling more and more money. We use percentages and not dollar amounts, so we don't feel like we have to spend a certain amount, if that makes sense. It's amazing how when a child has the option of making a free choice, they intuitively make the right one for them in their state of consciousness. Absolutely. Absolutely. That is so true. Okay. And so I have family and friends who spend 100% of their income. And so there's never enough. Money is never working for them. They were always a slave to the next paycheck or the next client. Personally, no matter how much I earn, I am a multiple 7-figure earner now per year. And I still don't spend in this scarcity or like I have to spend it. We are still investing large amounts of money because we are comfortable with the choices that we're making. And so we started with one income, my husband's one income, and we were living at way below our means and making sensible decisions because we knew that we wanted passive income and that, let me say something. This is my third business that I've owned, and my parents were also entrepreneurs. And one of the things that I learned watching them and my examples was that when money is coming in, there is this tendency to think that it will always come in this way. And maybe it will, and hopefully it will. But the thing is that you're always changing and entering different seasons of life. So especially as a woman, we need the option to be able to navigate different seasons of life. You need the option to navigate pregnancy, to navigate, being able to stay at home with your kids if that's what you desire. God forbid if you have kids that go through seasons where they're ill or you're ill or your partner is ill, or maybe you have aging parents that you need to care for. Women need options and choices. So if you're acting like your only choice is to keep working and that's the only way money will come in, there will be areas of your life that will be really, really stressful. My mom got cancer and, passed away, and her last couple of years were really hard. And I've been through difficult pregnancies where I was put on bed rest. My husband's parents went through various health conditions. There will be seasons in your life where the invested money, the passive income will serve you really, really well. So don't assume that the only way to earn money is to work for it, to exchange time and energy for it. That is my number one biggest advice is rich mom mindset, have money working for you. So many people don't invest or learn about money because it's scary or it's hard. But if that's the one thing that will break that generational curse of being in paycheck to paycheck or poverty, you have to do it. This was something that I had to learn, right? There's two aspects of money and wealth. There's the feminine aspect of calling it in and believing you can have it, the mindset principles. And then there's the actual tangible, how money works on earth concepts, which are the masculine container concepts of what to do with money, how to invest money, how to grow money, how to have money work for you. Ooh, that was a mouthful. Let me take a break and see what you guys are saying. Okay. If you are paycheck to paycheck, where should you begin? Cutting back your expenses as much as you can. So evaluate your expenses and realize that people who are paycheck to paycheck, No matter how many raises they get or how much more money they earn, they still stay paycheck to paycheck because their container for money is paycheck to paycheck. So expand your container, allow yourself to hold more money by cutting back on expenses that do not serve you. There are places that you're spending money. I see my friends doing this who are paycheck to paycheck. They spend money so frivolously on things that they forget 20 minutes later. I don't do that. I can't do that. I choose not to because that's just a dumb financial decision and it's a dumb mental decision. It clutters you mentally. So figure out a way to cut out expenses. Not all of your expenses are necessary. I promise you they're not. Embrace minimalism. Minimalism is amazing because it lets you embrace the things that you really, really value and let go of the things that are just dumb purchases and dumb things that society tells us that we need. For example, the people that know our net worth number are like, why aren't you living in a mansion? Why don't you drive a Ferrari? Because we don't want to. That's dumb for us because we don't like having tons of people in our house cleaning and organizing and maintaining. We live in a property that we own outright. We don't have a mortgage. We can maintain it. We didn't even buy new furniture in our house until our mortgage was paid off, right? We could have, but we chose not to. Those best decisions that we made 10 years ago, it's like if you are making around $50,000 a year and you learn to cut back and invest some of that money, 10 years is from zero to millionaire. It takes 10 years. If you're making $100,000 and make setbacks and save 50% of your income, probably can do it in 7 to 8 years. Why wouldn't you do it? That's just a very small fraction of your life. And then those habits you will have for the rest of your life. Now that I not only am an actual millionaire with like net worth of millions, but I also earn millions, I still have the same mindsets, right? That means that I only spend money on high vibrational things, not things that I need to spend money on. I don't need to inflate my lifestyle because that's what rich people on Instagram do. That's not me. It doesn't suit me, right? So I make decisions from a position of strength, not from a position of weakness that I must do it to look a certain way. Thank you, Melissa. How did you let the influence of your mom just be and not react to it regarding money? So this is something that I teach Elise, that you need to change your beliefs regarding money. And as a grown-up adult, you have the choice to choose the ones that you love. So I made a list of all of the money things that I learned from my father and my mother. And then I moved the ones that I loved from them onto my core beliefs list. And then I switch the ones that I didn't like. Because I'm an adult, I get to choose the ones that don't work for me and rewire them. So I get to make my parents were my parents. They're passed on, they're non-physical now, but they're not making my decisions after 18, right? Like I'm making my decisions. Okay. Let's see. Let me see what you guys are saying. Yes, Mina, I am a financial illiterate. I don't know why I don't like learning about financial issues and investments. I'm bad with numbers and I hate talking about money. Why can't I learn? Container issue. That was me. I decided that I get to choose to learn about anything I want. I would sit there and say, I can be a rocket scientist if I wanted to. I could be a doctor if I wanted to. I can learn to do anything because there's other human beings that have done it. And if they haven't, then I get to be the first. And so I would pick up financial books and I would get headaches reading them because I had the belief that I'm bad with numbers, but I rewired it. I forced myself to do it. I sat there and trained myself to do it. Mina, do you invest in Bitcoin? No, we do not. We are very, very simple investors. Very simple. We are index fund millionaires. Index funds are the most boring, non-exciting, most reliable way, in our humble opinion. That's what we use. It's not like what they show you on TV where it's like up 1 second and down the next second and like you're winning so much money and like losing so much money. It's just consistent, slow, boring, yawn growth, but it's consistent. So we like it. Okay. So we learned it, sat down and learned it. I learned a lot from my husband. He was already really good at the stock market, but I'll be honest, the way he would explain it to me, sometimes because I had this block that I'm not good with numbers and I'm not good with money, I would get really overwhelmed. So what I would do is I would watch YouTube videos on investing and read books on investing. And then I would go and say, can you explain that to me again? And then when he would explain it to me again, a little bit more would sink in. Then I would go back and read more and learn more. And I still have this, the Yahoo Investor app. Oh my God, or the Yahoo, what is it called? I don't know what this is called. This app, Yahoo Finance app. And I would look at our stocks on there. I would look at the stock market on there. Look, I just love, and then when you scroll down, there's articles, right? I would read the articles, even if they didn't make sense, even if my husband said some of those, are this or that. I just started becoming the type of woman that knew about the stock market, that knew about investments, right? And then I also started rewiring. Like I had this belief that I'm bad with numbers and that I'm bad with money and I'm bad with investments. But when I thought about it, I said, Mina, when you were in your 20s, there was a point in my life where I owned 20 properties, 20 rental properties at one time. I was a mortgage broker. And I'm like, you're not bad with numbers. There were so many people I knew that couldn't even pass the broker's exam because it's very difficult. The loan officer exam was very difficult. I passed it. I'm like, you're not bad with numbers. Like, still quit lying to yourself. Quit acting like you don't know when you know. You've done things. How many human beings have owned more than 20 properties at one time or even in their entire lifetime? Not very many. So it was like, this is a limiting belief. You keep limiting yourself by saying these things. They're not true. Thank you for existing, Mina. I never had a mom showing me anything that would help me to live. So you are a grown-up. Your mom doesn't have to help you. You're not broken because your mom didn't help you. You are a grown person and you get to learn. We live in the age of information when there's so much information available and lots of it for free, right? Lots of it for free. Do you have an emergency fund or do you invest all your savings? I think the concept of emergency fund is kind of dumb. Don't call anything an emergency fund or you must attract emergencies. We have more than enough for all our needs and desires and then some. We have overflow. I have seen people that have emergency funds and then they keep attracting emergencies, wondering why they keep attracting because you have a thing called an emergency fund. Of course you keep attracting emergencies. Call it a treasure chest. Call it something else. Don't call it an emergency fund. Okay, I don't like that word because that would definitely call in some things I wasn't ready for. Sometimes I think money finances is a social experiment to see who takes advantage of the information. Perhaps. Let me tell you something though. There is a mindset in the poor mom or poor poverty consciousness that there's information that the wealthy are keeping away from you. That is not true. Let me give you an example of this. Irfan and I talk about this all the freaking time. So we both have friends, co-workers, colleagues, family members that live paycheck to paycheck and make really, really poor decisions. When they complain to us about money, they constantly complain, which is mindset number 4. We'll talk about that in a second. And we ever offer them any advice, they actually get quite upset and don't want to hear it. I have friends that will change the topic right away if I give them any financial advice whatsoever. They will immediately change the topic. So let me tell you, no one is keeping information from you. It's all available in plain sight. Plain sight. You don't want it. You don't want it. You have this, there's conspiracy theories out there. I see YouTube titles that the wealthy keep information. Nope, I actually want to give it away. I am here on YouTube giving it away on 2 different channels all the time. I'm more than happy. I have offered my friends and family members that I will sit down with you for free and give you any investment advice, anything that you desire. They choose to complain about money instead. They don't want the advice. They get upset. You're not listening to me. I am poor because da 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 da. And then they go buy the Gucci bag in the evening. Okay, all right. No one is keeping information away from you. It's available in plain sight. You just don't want it. You just don't want it. They don't want to admit they are responsible for their own financial futures. Exactly. Exactly. I have friends that will complain about not having money for groceries during the day and then go buy a Louis Vuitton bag in the evening. Yep. Any tips on getting out of debt? Yes, go and follow Dave Ramsey's plan. There's a million plans out there. This is the mindset that I have now. Debt is good. Debt is calling in money, manifesting money with the faith that the money is coming to be able to pay it, right? The overflow is coming. So debt is just a neutral thing that we either assign as bad or good, right? I believe that I get to have an overflow and abundance in my life of money coming in from so many sources, so many places that I actually don't even have to get debt, right? Like I have so much overflow. But if I was in debt right now, I would reframe it and say, you know what? Money showed up when I needed it. Now I have faith that more than enough will come and I will be able to pay it. She is telling the truth. She helped me just last week in my coaching call. She could have easily passed it off. Beautiful, Claire. Love you, girl. Yes. I renamed my emergency fund safety net to my retirement fund. Yep, I call it an overflow, generational wealth, my legacy. More than enough. Okay, more than enough. If you keep it, treasure chest, at 6 months or 12 months, is that a limiting belief? All beliefs are limiting beliefs. All beliefs on the human plane are limiting beliefs. You just choose one that's less limiting than where you are. So if you have no overflow in your bank account, get to 3 months of overflow, then 6 months, then 12 months. We have a lifetime overflow at this point and enough to leave to our kids. And more is always coming. So we don't have 6 months, we don't have 12 months. We have more than enough for both of our lives, my husband and I, and then enough to pass down as legacy to our kids. But I didn't get there. I didn't wake up that way one day. I had to caterpillar there. That's what I teach in my Millionaire's Play Shop, in the $1 Million Babe Money course, that you're not going to wake up to that. And we already know. We have examples of people friends and family members that we have that are paycheck to paycheck, really poor with money. They believe that all their problems will be solved if we just give them $1 million. But I assure you, they will be back at square one in 3 days. They will spend it all because they don't know how to hold money. They don't know how to make and hold $1 million. So if we handed it to them, they'd be broke in 3 days. We have enough research and studies done on this now to know that this is actually true. At least they end up bankrupt within 3 years because they earned their money too fast. The container didn't grow. They are not financially literate. Lottery winners. Over 95% of them end up bankrupt within 5 years. Why? Got the money at once, didn't expand their expansion container, and they're financially illiterate. Is there a course you offer that teaches how to invest, be in index funds or anything else? Yes. We have a course that's in the self-aware activated Barbie bundle, and you can also purchase it separately. It's made by my husband. It's called High Value Personal Finance, and he teaches you how to invest in there. It comes as a bonus. It's included in the self-aware activated Barbie bundle. Is it liquid or tied up in investments? What is, Melissa? Let me see if I missed the beginning part of your question. Are you asking if my overflow? Both. We have liquid, we have investments, we have a paid off property. We have zero debt at this point. We just have overflow. We have all of it. I don't want to just have one thing. We have everything. We have liquid, we have investments, we have the whole thing. I get to have it all. Number 4. Okay, so rich mom versus poor mom. Number 4 mindset. Poor moms, poor poverty consciousness, they constantly complain about money. I've actually stopped hanging out with people like that because it's just so draining. Now, here's the thing. Based on my human design chart, I can hang out with people that complain about money or are in poverty consciousness and not have it affect me. My lower centers are defined. Luckily, I'm all open on the top, but my lower are defined. So I can. And that's probably one of the saving graces for me. It's because I've always hung out with people that have been in really poverty consciousness, but luckily it hasn't affected me because of those design centers. But if your human design is open in the lower centers, you have to be really, really careful who you hang out with, because not only do you absorb their information on those centers, but you amplify it. So if they worry about money and complain about money at a level 5, you complain about money and worry about money at a level 10 because you will amplify it. Okay. So we have friends that are really in poverty consciousness, paycheck to paycheck. They're good earners, but God forbid they keep any money. And we have also friends that are multimillionaires, have similar net worth to ours. And the people that are wealthy, even if they lose money in the stock market, even if they have a bad year, the way that we discuss money with each other is very different. We talk about money as something that we have control over. We talk about money as something that we have power over, literacy over, that we know something about. The people that are in the poverty consciousness, all they do is complain about money. All they do is complain about money. Big difference, big difference. So it's not that, so for example, our rich friends, even if they lose $150,000, they're not going to be complaining about money. And it's not that they're not complaining because they already have money. My poverty consciousness friends, they could not lose any money. In fact, they could be earning more money than they've ever earned this year and still be complaining about money. It's not because these people are rich. This is why they are rich. This is why they are wealthy. You will never, ever hear me complaining about money. Never, never. I have my tax bill is over, multiple six figures. Multiple six figures I'm just paying in taxes. And you will never hear me complain. I am happy that my schools and my streets and my firefighters and the police officers and my community is supported with the overflow and abundance that I'm able to generate. For poor mom mindset, poverty consciousness, always complaining about money. Rich mom mindset, talk about money as though you have control over it and understand it. Yep. The funny thing is that we think this consciousness, we're trained to think that rich people are greedy. Poor people, poverty consciousness people are actually very greedy. If you think about it, money is always on their mind. Spending it, not having enough of it, getting more of it, manipulating. Like I've always been around people in poverty consciousness that tried to manipulate me into giving them more and more and more money. And I did this for really long periods of my time, right? But then they would also look at me as if I was greedy for having money. But the truth is, I have no greed about money. Money gets to come to me. It gets to stay. It gets to grow. It gets to have babies. It gets to support me. It gets to flow through me come to me, go out from me, like all the things. So there's no aspects of greed in it. Like, come stay for a while, have babies, you're free to roll, flow away if you need to. There's a revolving door. So what I've seen is abundance mindset people aren't greedy. Oftentimes, poverty mindset people are greedy. So it's a mindset. Greed is a mindset. It's an embodiment. It's a way of being. It has nothing to do with how much money you actually have. You can be greedy at all ranges of wealth or lack thereof. What I have been surrounded from since I was a child, I saw my mother literally, like, her relatives just eat her alive with the lies and the manipulation. This woman worked herself to death. Like, my mother died. And even when she could barely walk from chemo, we found receipts after she had passed away where she was sneaking out with a cane and a walker to go send money home to her relatives, which means that they were still conning her when she was dying. When this woman was dying of cancer, these people were still asking her for money. And if you go back home and look, they actually live more luxurious lifestyles than we do. So yes, I have seen it. So in the American movies and things, when they would show the rich person as being like the greedy one, I would be like, nope, that hasn't been my experience. That has not been my experience. My experience has been that greed is available in all levels of wealth, all levels. If you think about money all the time, if it's on your mind all the time, if you have to spend it, if you must earn it, if you think about how other people are wealthy, like if it's consuming you, right? Why not become financially literate? Why not have power over it versus it having power over you? It is very dangerous hanging around people who have nothing to lose. Let me see. Mina, what do you suggest for someone who has never taken your courses but wants to level up? Basic Babe or Self-Aware Barbie? 110% Basic Babe. Start there. The 6-step process in there is a game changer. You can use that for money, relationships, health, like anything. I still use that every single day. Okay. But based on your human design, if you have open root chakra and open spleen center, oh my goodness, watch out who you hang out with. So what I've seen is that the friends that I have that constantly complain about money, like they can't talk about anything else. If I start talking about financial literacy, they have to run. So instead of me having to hang up on them, if they start complaining about money, I start talking about financial empowerment. They run. So I figured out a way where I'm not the bad guy and I'm not the one always hanging up, because then I would get, oh, whenever I need you, you have to go. Yeah, because you need me by complaining about money all the time for like decades, and I'm tired of it. So now what I do is I start giving them financial information that will empower them. They run off the phone in a second. God forbid that they hear anything empowering about money. So yes, all my centers are open. All my centers are open in the front. Just my root one and spleen and emotional one is defined, which are the good ones to have design, I find. I'm a reflector. You're the first reflector I've ever met, by the way, Diva. So when my client did my reading, she said, my student, she said that I might as well be a reflector. I'm so open, but I'm sorry to hear that. That all of yours are open. That makes you an amazing empath, but you're gonna have to be careful who you hang out with, girl. You can't hang out with people that are in poverty consciousness. The good news is if you hang out with rich people with the rich abundance mindset, you will also amplify that. So you are the type of person, if you hang out with wealthy people, you will get infected with that wealth energy, and then you will amplify it. So that's good. It's so important to have a partner without money blocks, but it's impossible to have a partner without money blocks. Irfan and I both came into the marriage with tons of money blocks, both of us. Luckily, we just had opposite money blocks, so we were able to help each other. We both had it. Now I'm understanding my issues about manifesting money. I stress about it too much. Yep. Elena, you need the Millionaire's Play Shop. Listen to it on repeat. Listen to it on repeat. And do the energy container work in there. If your partner has money blocks, how can you influence them positively? So we attract partners that are reciprocal to us. So the first thing I realized when I noticed that Irfan had money blocks was that, oh my goodness, which means I have money blocks. So I worked on myself first. I actually said, you know what? You're so good with money. You help me. So I put him in charge, helping me with money seat. And in that way, I was able to help my money blocks and help his too. Clever. Be smart. Especially if you're the woman and you want to keep the polarity in the relationship, be smart about it. LOL, I love that, Mina. When I hear people complain about money, I say, let's take out the calculator and figure out where we should cut out. They want to race off the phone. Exactly. That's exactly what I did. I was like, okay, let's see. You're earning how much? Let's do the math. Off the phone, crickets. I'm going to restart my Millionaire's Play Shop. Good. Yes. Yes. Do the embodiment exercise. Play it all the time. Let your energy centers absorb in it. Yes. There is no such thing as a human being with no money blocks. So I still have money blocks. How do I know? Because I'm still growing and learning, right? So I now have gotten to a certain level of wealth, but I'm not at Oprah's level. I'm not at Tony Robbins' level. I'm not at Jeff Bezos' level, right? And I want to keep expanding and growing because it's fun. It's fun. So we all have money blocks. You just have to choose a block that's slightly less blocky than you are now. Okay? All beliefs on the earthly plane are limited because we are infinite beings with no limitations, which means that all beliefs are limitations, right? So I just choose one that's less limiting than where I am right now. I bought the Basic Babe bundle and started journaling. Now I'm going through the whole course as a warm-up, then another round. That's the way to do it. Let yourself marinate in it. Let yourself absorb it. Okay. Yes. Mina, are you aggressive or moderate in your investments? We're very low risk. We're not even moderate. We're very low risk. That's just how we choose to do it. We believe in getting rich slowly, letting it be a process and a journey. I just feel better that way. Irfan and I are pretty united in this, luckily. We just feel more comfortable that way. We're very low risk. I don't know, Journey. Is it to you? You tell me. Do you feel blocked by that? There's no definite, like, let me pull out my list of blocks. How do you feel? How do you feel? Do you feel like that's keeping you from calling in more money and holding money and investing money? There's no like golden book in the sky of like, okay, let's pull out page number 57. Thou shalt not use husband's money, right? Like there's no definite thing. It's just how do you feel? How do you feel? This is so funny. Works with health and fitness too. People complain about their weight. I say, okay, are you exercising? Are you eating McDonald's? And then they run. First, I was running, right? because I didn't want to constantly be in that mode. It's exhausting. And then I realized there was a better way. They're the ones calling me and complaining. They should run. They should think twice before calling me and complaining about money. Typically, people like that have that mindset of, but it's easier for you. Yeah, because I decided it gets to be easy for me. And I actually learned finance, like how money works. Whatever you decide is your money block is your money block. Exactly. I am the queen of making everything work for me because I always rewire it. Using the six-step process in the Basic Babe Bundle, I will not allow any limitation to be in my mind, body, or soul. No, ma'am. Not staying. Mina, what does it mean when you make an investment and you feel nervous or anxious afterwards, even though you know it's a good investment? Container issue. Expand your container. You get to invest and you get to feel good. Expand your container. Expand your container to be able to hold investments, to be the type of person that can have investments. If you don't close your eyes and be able to see yourself as someone that has multiple investments and multiple properties and money in the bank and money coming in from all areas, more money than you can even imagine, then you're going to feel nervous. Can you invest even with one household income? We did. So we were a one household income for 9 years, and we invested more than 50% of our income. So yes, that's how we became millionaires, by the way. I started my business when we already had $1.7 million in the bank. One income. I was a stay-at-home mom. Thank you for your videos, Mina. You have totally changed my perspective on money in the last 6 months. True role model. I'm so glad, babe. Yes. Does the Basic Babe to Self-Aware Barbie bundle include the 6-step process? Yes, Jody. It's in the High Vibe course inside the Basic Babe bundle. And you can use that for any area of your life. In fact, any process, inner work process that you can't replicate in other areas of your life, I would question. Because if it works in one area, it should be able to work in all the others. That's how I did it. If you go to theuniverseguru.com, it's the first course that pops up. It's the first one. But you need to be able to see yourself as someone that has money, that has investments, that has overflow. I have clients that say, I can't do it because we're on one income. And then I have other clients that say, I can't do it because I'm single. Then I have other clients that say, well, we can't do it because we're on 2 incomes. I have other clients that say, well, we can't. It's like, you can do it on whatever situation. I don't know any limitations like that. Whatever my situation is, I've always said, you know what, this is the best situation, and then amplified that. When I was a single mom, I would say, you know what, it's easier to do it when you're a single mom. Then when I became a stay-at-home mom, I was like, you know what, it's easier to do it when you're a stay-at-home mom. Then when I launched my business, I said, yes, it's easy. In any situation, I will convince myself that that's the easiest time to do it because it gets to be easy. Because I'm the one making up my limitations, might as well make some that are inspiring and taking me to the next level. Yep. You're welcome, Sade. Thank you, Mina, for sharing your knowledge with us. Mina, looking at your journey gives me so much hope. I'm a stay-at-home mom right now and gaining so much from your videos and your chats. Really get inspired. Thank you, babe. Mina, I wanted to purchase the Modern Dating for Queens program and noticed the price went up. Were more modules added to the previous ones? Oh, yes, a whole lot were added. Absolutely. To that and the Divine Union and the Basic Babe Bundle and the Personal Activations, tons of new modules were added. I get to have it just because, exactly, because I decided I get to have it. I don't have to work hard for it. I don't have to hang upside down for it. I don't have to spank myself for it. I just get to have it because I decided. Because I decided. Other people get to have it. I get to have it. Let me see what you guys are saying. Yes, ma'am. The Divine Union is my favorite program. Really helped my container issues. Yes. Oh my goodness. I'm so glad. It's one of my favorites as well. That I know that the inner work in the first few modules is kind of like butt kicking, but like once you do it, you're like, oh my God, that's why I've been blocking myself. Mina, does it make sense to do modern dating for queens without doing self-aware Barbie? Yes. See, I'm not a make sense kind of girl. I'm a whatever my heart does. I'm a free spirit. I'm freaking making up these rules. I'm a grown up. I get to do whatever my heart desires kind of girl. So yes, you get to do whatever your heart desires. Mina, what are some of your most inspirational success client stories with money? The fact that 90% of my couple clients are multi-millionaires, I think that, and many of those clients, those couples credit us because we used to make financial videos on the main channel. Many of them credit us because we're average, everyday people that did it. So yes, I have so many. In fact, a few years ago, Irfan was like, you lose testimonials because you never save them. Because I get so many in the emails and YouTube. And I started only a few years ago, started like cutting and pasting them somewhere because they would come and then they would get lost in the shuffle of my email. So now I actually try and keep track of them and save them. I have hundreds of testimonials, life-changing things. I can't even wrap my head around the fact that I get to do this work. Hi, Mina, I'm single and need container work. Which program is best? Pretty much any of them. They're all inner work programs, and inner work naturally expands your container. So whatever your heart desires, if you haven't taken any, I would say start with Basic Babe Bundle or Millionaires or anywhere. But I don't have any programs where your container won't be expanded because you're doing inner work. You're releasing stuff, you're removing stuff, you're creating space, your container is expanding. I believe I get to have it. However, something in my chest is like tugging and feels off. Maybe I need to keep speaking until it goes away. No, don't keep speaking until it goes away. Actually process it. That work is in the Basic Babe Bundle and Aligned as Femme. Like if you really want to learn how to do that. Also in Sacred Feminine, I put a lot of the basic level stuff that everyone should be doing in multiple programs so you guys can know how to do it. But don't just keep speaking, like release that stuff in your chest. Otherwise, it's always going to be stuck there. I attracted my hubby and we fight about our different money beliefs. Must look into that. Yes, that's good. If you are married to someone that triggers you, you're married to the right person. Because I've talked about this in the Divine Union program and also on my main channel a little bit, that we are attracted to people that are there to heal us, to heal our blocks, and we're there to heal theirs. So the right person for you will trigger you. In your marriage, you will be very triggered. 85% of honeymoons, there's fighting and arguing. That's the right person. In fact, if you get married and in the first 18 months to 2 years, you don't trigger each other, you either married the wrong person or you're walking on eggshells. We want to be healed. We all want to be healed. Everything in nature is actually designed to return to wholeness. Everything, trees, plants, like everything. We will be naturally attracted to people, romantically just love the people that hold the reciprocal wounds as us so we can heal each other. Those will be the people that will entice us the most. That's why when I laid my eyes on Irfan's picture on the online website, I was like, I know him. He's so familiar. And he proposed in 2 weeks because we were each other's reciprocal wounds. We were magnetically attracted towards each other. And then we triggered the hell out of each other in the first few years of marriage. That work is the divine union. I'm still been sitting with that thought since you shared it. It's the truth, girl. If you can run through 10 partners and still not be healed, and you'll attract it in the 11th one as well, because it's not healed yet. And we all want to return to wholeness. I'm so thankful you're part of my virtual tribe. You too, Wonder Woman. Look, hey, Wonder Woman. Hey. What is the difference between your partner triggering you or being rude to you? So let's talk about relationship stuff on the other channel. I know I got a little sidetracked. I want to keep this channel to like money and like entrepreneurship. Okay. So that work is in my relationship programs. And I do talk about that on the other channel. I want to keep this channel more like money, entrepreneurship, that sort of thing. So we shared 4 today, rich mom, poor mom mindsets. And Heather was nice enough to write those out. Let me see if I can catch all of them in the chat. Number 1, poor mom mindset, buying everything. Rich mom mindset, choices, intentional purchases, only the things that are high vibration that make sense. Number 2, poor mom consciousness, that's too expensive. Scarcity mindset. Rich mom mindset, you can have everything you want, manifest it. I never say to my kids, you can't have that, or we can't buy that, or that's too expensive. I always say, put it on your vision board, manifest it. Number 3, poor mom mindset, I worked for money. Rich mom, money works for me. Exactly. Money is part of my team, it's part of my family. 4, let me scroll down. Thank you for doing that, babe. I appreciate you. 4 was, I remember what 4 was. 4 was poor mom mindset, constantly complaining about money. Rich mom mindset, talking about money from a place of empowerment, learning about money. Mina, have you ever experienced being afraid to spend the money? Whenever I get a big amount, I'm afraid to spend it for a little while. Yes, that was one of Irfan's money blocks as well. So we've worked on that. The work that I have in the money course works, the container expansion, it works for all of this stuff. So that was one of his. His was afraid to spend. Mine was afraid to save, afraid to invest. Mina, do money mindsets change with time and age? Earlier, I didn't have a scarcity mindset, but now since past few years, I do feel lacking in abundance. Do these things change? I don't think they automatically change. They change if we change, good or bad, right? In the better direction or the, yeah. I'm not going to say they automatically change, because I know people that were in the poverty consciousness when they were 10 and they're in poverty consciousness at 80, right? Like nothing changed because they didn't change. So when you change, your beliefs change, right? Change your beliefs, you change. My friend says we are choosing not to spend our money on that instead of saying that's too expensive. Exactly. I love that. That's such a better, more empowerment way of saying it. How I say it is, if someone, so I have a friend that would always spend the same mom I was telling you guys about, that would always spend the most on everything. And she would say, why don't you just buy that? You can afford it. And that was her like questioning of like why I'm choosing the medium option or the lower option. And I would say, it doesn't feel good to me right now. That's it. It doesn't feel good to me. So for example, if we go out to lunch and we're at a restaurant, you know how American restaurant servings are huge, right? And especially at that time, I was working on my autoimmune stuff and like really nutrition conscious. And so going out to eat was a treat. I would mostly cook at home. And so when I would go out, I was aware that what I was eating wasn't the best ingredients and the meal portions were large. So I would like split a meal. Alina was in a carrier and my middle son was like 3, right? So I would get one meal and split with him and still have food left over. And so she would get a whole meal for herself, an appetizer, a drink, and a whole appetizer, meal, and a drink for her 3-year-old. And she would take one bite and then like the whole thing would go to waste. She wouldn't even, I would always take leftovers home. She would throw the whole thing away. And so she would say, why don't you let him order his own thing? And I would say, because we always have food left over, right? So I would just say, it doesn't feel good to me right now. This is what we're going to eat. And I would always like pack everything. I don't feel comfortable throwing food away. It doesn't feel good to me at all. And she would just throw away her half of her meal and the entire appetizer and meal for her child every single time. And then the last 2 weeks, she couldn't even go anywhere because they didn't have money for groceries. Okay. So, yep. You have to make better decisions because at the end of the day, money to me represents freedom. That's what it represents. So if I'm not free to choose not to buy something, like if I, for example, let me give you an example. Someone was asking me why I still shop at, like I'll buy t-shirts from Amazon. I'll buy clothes from like White House Black Market and Nordstrom Rack are my favorite places to shop. But then I'll buy like expensive jewelry and like I love handbags and expensive shoes and things, right? She was like, well, how come you don't buy designer clothes? You can afford it. And so to me, if I feel like I have to buy designer clothes, even though that doesn't make sense based on my lifestyle, that's loss of freedom. Do you see? That does not feel good to me. I think money equals freedom. Money equals liberation. So I choose to buy expensive accessories because in my logic, that makes no like sense to me. But expensive like designer clothes don't make sense to me. So I'm not going to do something just because I can afford to. Whether I can afford to or not is not a decision-making process for me because I believe I can afford to buy anything I want. But does it make sense? Does it feel good? So being wasteful is a poor mom mindset. Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't care how much money you have. If you're wasteful, that's a poor mom mindset. Wasting food never represents being wealthy. It means you're not aware about your environment. So let me say something that was on my mind earlier, and I forgot to say this. You have to understand that people that don't know how money works and they don't know how money feels because they've always just spent it before they let themselves like feel into it. They have certain beliefs about what it feels to be wealthy or how you act when you're wealthy. They're incorrect beliefs. But that's what they think. So this is what I've gathered from my own experience and especially the experience of watching my friends and family members make these decisions. I think they believe that if they had money, they would buy 10 entrees and like just not eat them if it doesn't feel good, that they would like buy all these things just to have the option of those things, even if they didn't need them. I think they believe that wealthy people always buy the most expensive thing. So they're like projecting. So the human brain, the way it is, we're constantly projecting onto other people. And this has served us evolutionarily speaking. You guys know I'm kind of a evolution nerd. And so before we even speak to someone, we make this beautiful map. We have this inner quick, like seconds worth of dialogue of like what I'm going to say and how we think they're going to react, what they're going to say. So we make all these assumptions based on prior knowledge and information that we have. So poor mindset people believe this image of how they're going to be when they're rich or how rich people act. That is actually very incorrect. But then they act according to that, and that's exactly what keeps them poor, because that is not how wealthy people think or act or behave. It's not. I have been in poverty. I told you guys, I shared the story with you guys on my other channel. We were homeless for 6 months in my childhood. Okay. I remember this one time where we had friends come over to play, and they opened up the refrigerator and saw there was absolutely zero food. Zero food. I think there was a ketchup bottle in the fridge at the time. That was it. So I have seen that too. And let me tell you, you think that if you have money, you're just going to spend it, or you're just going to buy everything. That is not how wealthy people think or behave. So they're projecting on this image of what they think, which is actually, in fact, keeping them poor. Okay. Let's see. Sometimes I feel guilty. Oh, about the coupon thing. Kristen just said something. So by the way, there was this study done. I think it was a few years ago. And so there was 3 different groups. There was under 35,000 salaried people earning 35,000 or under, people earning 35,000 to 100,000, and people earning over 100,000. Okay, I'm going to ask you guys a question now. Which group is most likely to use a coupon? I'm not going to answer until you guys tell me. What do you think? Just so you know, I asked my children this, and all 3 of them got it right. Okay, so we've got 2 under 35,000, and then we've got 1, 2. We've got many over 100,000 group, over 100,000, under 35,000. I used to coupon, I don't anymore. Under 35, 35,000 group, over, okay. So all of the people that said over 100,000, you are correct. You are most likely to use a coupon if you earn over 100,000. We make multiple 6 figures every month, not yearly, every month, and we use coupons. So when I saw that, I thought that was very interesting. Because we have the option to, right? Like, it's available, we will use it. My friends that are in the middle range, or even in the under 35,000 range, I have friends in every group, they won't. They're too embarrassed to use a coupon. They say it's a waste of time. Interesting, huh? It's so interesting. We use a coupon whenever it's possible. We earn multiple 6 figures a month. In fact, the next level that I'm trying to expand my container to is 300,000 a month. That's my next level. You clip them or use an app? My husband does it. I don't even know. He uses apps. He does all of it. He is like the coupon mom. I tell him if he wants me to use it, make it easy for me. So he'll text it to me or forward me the email. If I have to work for it, I probably won't. But he does. And he is a 6-figure earner too. But why use it when you have the choice not to? Why leave money on the table? Every dollar invested grows. Why would we be wasteful like that? So let me give you an example. Irfan has a friend who doesn't use coupons, and he questions Irfan's use of coupons because he knows we're multimillionaires. And so there was an option in our, I don't know if it's a phone package, internet package that his friend also has, to save $500 by just using this one coupon thing or rebate or whatever. And his friend said, It's a waste of time. But Irfan got on the phone and he used it and we saved the $500. And that friend is paycheck to paycheck. And so Irfan said, if your boss called you and said, for 10 minutes of extra time, I'll give you $500, would you take the assignment? And his friend was like, of course. So then he was like, well, isn't that the same logic though? You left $500 on the table here, but you'd work more to earn it? Isn't it the same logic? So Irfan does. Why would we be wasteful? One thing you have to understand, Elise, is wealthy people are not wasteful. Wealth consciousness people, they're not wasteful. So that if there was another example that Irfan had used with his friend, he said, if there was $500 on the floor, would you bend down to pick it up? And he's like, of course. Okay. So a coupon for saving you $500 is, why would you not bend down to just pick it up? So why would we waste money? I didn't become wealthy from wasting anything. I became wealthy from being resourceful, for being a good steward of my energy and time and money. My friends think it's too embarrassing to use a coupon, so they won't use it. So I thought that study was so interesting though, huh? I would have never guessed, because you would think the under 35 should definitely be using the coupons, right? They're not the most likely. Thought that was really interesting. You guys should rule the world. We already feel like we do, our world. Makes sense, but it can also get to the extreme where you're afraid of spending money. That's where I'm at. And so again, it's about harmony, right? So fearing coupons because you fear that you'll lose control is, again, you're not in control. We are in control. We can choose to use the coupon and not, but we choose to use it because, like, why would we leave money on the table? We still negotiate too. Like when we went to buy my dream car, the car I wanted, Irfan negotiated, right? When my friend who's paycheck to paycheck went to buy a car, she did not, because she didn't want to seem like she can't afford that car. But we know we can afford the car. We negotiated the hell out of it and then paid cash and walked out like we bought coffee. But of course we negotiated. Just because you have money doesn't mean that you're, it's the same principles. The principles that made us wealthy don't just fall away once you become wealthy. They're ingrained in you, they're embodiment. So we're still good stewards, right? That's just there. It's embodiment. Walked out like you bought coffee. Yes, ma'am. I love it. Yes. Yes. Rich people don't like being cheated. I can't believe you just said that, because, oh my goodness. So I was journaling last week on something that came up that's been like a very strong ingrained thing in me. And you just said it. I get one of my biggest friendship triggers still that I was actually journaling through is this. Like, I have friends and family members that complain. On the surface, it looks like they're just complaining about money. But to me, it feels kind of manipulative because of certain things that they say and do, which makes me behave in certain ways then. And I was journaling on it because I'm like, Mina, you can't blame them because you're the one that then takes that action. So I was journaling on that. And that's so true. I have this deep-seated thing with watching my mom be really manipulated for money, both of my parents actually. and then myself in my 20s, I don't feel Irfan and I are both the same. Like we don't like it when people try to manipulate us or like cheat us through with money stuff. So that you're right, actually. Oh my, I can't believe you just said that. I was just journaling on this last week. Yes, on negotiating. I negotiated my husband's dream car. He was like, I'm ready to go buy a car. For him, that meant he had the cash. I'm glad I went because he wasn't prepared to negotiate. Yeah, no, Irfan and I are both, like, I studied with 3 like national experts on negotiation. Actually, one of them is written a book on like the world negotiations. I studied with 3 of the best negotiation experts, I think, on the planet at Northwestern University. And Irfan is an expert negotiator. And what we've seen is that our friends that are fearful that they will be seen as not being able to afford something don't negotiate. My mom would never negotiate anything. She would just go and buy the car at the price that they set, even if we couldn't afford it. But we always negotiate because there's room for negotiation. It's built that way. And why wouldn't you try? The worst thing that can happen is they say no, and then you pay cash for it anyways, because we know we can afford it. But we got here by being smart. We got here by being smart with money, by not caring what other people think. I negotiate and I love it. I'm good at it too. I think immigrants, like, power to immigrant first generation Americans. Like, we learned that stuff from our parents. I didn't necessarily from my parents because my parents weren't good at it. But like, I know it's very much a immigrant thing, and Irfan is killer at it. Yeah, my mom does that. She'll complain about her rent and other bills in front of me, telling me, oh, I just pay so and so bill. Like, okay, what are you trying to tell me? Yes. I feel like, and this is a limiting belief, so I'm just going to say it once. I'm working on it. That's literally what I was journaling on. This is one of my limiting beliefs. And this has been true for me because it's my belief that people take advantage of me because I'm able to call in large amounts of money and keep large amounts of money. And that has been my truth. Like, since I was a teenager, my mom trained me. When she couldn't give to her relatives, she would guilt me into doing it. And sometimes it felt good, and then other times it didn't, because some of these people were living larger than we were, and they definitely didn't need the money. Like, I would Google stuff. They were talking about surgeries that they had already had that can only be had once, like really bad stuff. So that got stuck in me. I'm still working on this because I still keep attracting friends that do that they will make me feel bad about certain things, and then I'll give them money. And then it's just, the whole thing just doesn't feel good to me. I was literally last week going, I'm no longer available for this. I'm no longer available for this. Like, no. Passive aggressive money mindset. Who would have thought? Mina, I did your Millionaires Play Shop, and in 2 weeks, I was able to manifest the down payment for a 3rd commercial property. Me and my husband are so grateful for your teachings. Beautiful. Oh my goodness. I'm so excited for you. Yes. 3rd down payment. Down payment for 3rd commercial property. Girl, I'm so proud of you guys. Yes. Love it. A large problem poverty mindset brings in caring about what others think or how people perceive you. Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes. For me, I think one of the things that my friends or family members in the past have figured out is like what certain things that can say that will make me feel really, really guilty, and then give them the money. So they've gotten better at that than I was. And so my son, oh my God, my son was helping me. I was talking about this to him because I was like, Armand, I thought I had really outgrown this with family, but I'm still attracting it in some aspects from other people. And he was like, Mom, I know what it is. I was like, pull up a chair. Come sit down over here. And I ran and I got my journal, and I was like, what is it? He's like, this is what they say. Da, 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 da. I was like, how do you know? He's like, because I watch your reactions when you're talking to them. And like, he's like, you'll be like the queen and like you're listening. And then they'll say certain things and then your facial expressions change. And then you start coming up with solutions on how you can help them. And I'm like, oh my God, Arman, you just saved me like thousands in therapy. Yep. What helped you personally the most? In-person contact, books, or digital material? All of the above. I can't pick. I did it all. It's like inner work happens in layers. It happens in layers. Every time you learn something, expand something, it creates a ripple effect, and then another layer, and then another ripple effect, and then another layer. So yeah, it happens in layers. Mina, how can we learn to negotiate? Watch YouTube videos, practice, read books, practice. Some people can just read stuff or listen and learn. Some people actually have to go do it. Another thing I will say is that know that okay, so let me give you an example. I have several friends that own car dealerships, or did back in the day when I was in real estate. And one of my friends, he was my client. He owned a Toyota/Lexus dealership in Chicago. And he said that he trains his employees, his salespeople are trained differently to work with first generation immigrants and like immigrants. And he said these people, he's like, I realized, he was a first generation American. He said, I realized that these people knew how to negotiate better than my salespeople. And he said, we offered them special training now. So they know when you walk in, they can profile you and they know that the wealthy people will negotiate and the poverty people, the people that like are afraid of their self-image and we're afraid to appear poor won't. When I had this conversation with him, it blew my mind because I was like, damn, when we walk in, they've already decided which salesperson is going to come to us and whether we're going to negotiate or not. But the person that's in poverty consciousness won't negotiate because they don't know this. One of my friends was going to go buy a car, definitely couldn't afford it. And we were telling them, we were like, you definitely have to negotiate. She was like, no, I can't. They're going to think I can't afford it. It's like, you must. They will actually know that you can afford it if you negotiate. Nope. Couldn't do it. Would you be willing to make a video about loans? Sure, I'll consider that in the future. What is the energy when you pay for it at a lowered price? So you have to scan your body. What is your energy? Our energy is like, amazing. We got the best deal. Here's the cash for it. If you can't afford it, your energy, regardless of the price you paid, will not be good. So scan your body in that moment. This is not a golden rule book. That's why different people have different vibrations for different things. We already know that we can afford whatever we're buying because we will not buy anything we can't afford. So when we know we can already afford it, we already believe in getting the best price. So it feels good to us. If I found out that I didn't get the best price, that I didn't negotiate, then I would have to work on aligning myself with that, and I can still do that. But it's all, what's your energy? My energy isn't going to help you because I have different beliefs than you do. I'm at a different level. Whatever your level is, you need to know what that is. You need to know yourself from the inside out. Not caring about our self-image has saved thousands of dollars. Yes, and the truth is that the people that you're afraid will judge you already are judging you based on the opposite. They already will assume that if you negotiate, you're actually wealthy. That's what they were, right? Like they know that you have money. They already know that if you don't negotiate, you don't have money. Because those are the profiling of certain groups. Like that's just how it is. So it's when you don't know this stuff, you assume it a certain way. That's not the truth. That conversation with that guy, like I was just like mind blown. Well, that makes sense, Mina, because those who can't afford to buy something won't even do the negotiations. Yep. Yep. So ladies, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I have the Millionaires Play Shop money course, all of like my money stuff linked in the description box. And I will go ahead and catch you guys later. Someone said this is definitely for advanced students. All my work is at this time. Hello, you're playing with the big girls, right? We're multimillionaires. I earn multiple 7 figures in my business. My clients are 6-figure earners. My couple clients are multimillionaires. You're playing with the big girls now. You're playing with the big girls. So like, be ready to learn. Be ready to upgrade yourself. You're hanging out with the big girls. Love you guys so much. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.